I just want to say thank you for spending some time with us, for taking some time out of your day, whatever you're doing, whether you're home and in quarantine, or you're still at work and doing things in the world, or you're working from home. We just want to thank you for spending some time with us today and for bringing our consciousness together, all of us who are ready and willing to be together this morning. It really is a way that we're combining our consciousness to serve ourselves and the greater good in this time. So I want to thank you for being here and for giving to yourself and for being open to how we can also show up and serve and lead in this time as feminine leaders and visionaries. So I'd like to turn it over to Amanda, who's going to open us in sacred space and call in some sacred divine magic.
Hey, all right, beloved. So, all you beautiful goddess and priestesses, I'm just going to invite you all to just gently close your eyes. And together we're going to go on a journey into our hearts to connect with the truest essence of ourselves. Because ultimately, the devastation and all that is going on in the world right now, it's like Eru, Mother Earth is just, it's like the phoenix, just getting us all to kind of shaking us all up, waking us all up. And so it's really, really coming back to the truest, most authentic core essence of who you are. So gently closing your eyes and just bringing your awareness to your heart. Bringing your awareness to that place of unconditional love. And I'm going to invite everyone to take a big, deep inhale here. Drawing the earth, all the energy up from the earth, up from Eru, up from the goddess Danu, which is the Mother Earth goddess here. Just drawing all this energy up to the crown of your head. And then I'm going to invite you to just hold your breath for a moment, hold it. And then with a big exhale, I'm going to invite you just to let it go. Just letting go of the fear, the anxiety, like whatever it is you're feeling, the grief, and it's like, what is happening now collectively is there's grief for what is happening with our brothers and sisters. Yes, absolutely. And then it's also like, it's triggering grief that we haven't dealt with, things that we haven't dealt with. So we're being pushed inwards to go in, to reflect, to heal. And that is part of what this is all about. So together, let's just draw the energy up from the earth. Let's take a big, deep inhale. All the way up to the crown of your head. And then I really invite you just to let go with the biggest exhale. Just letting it all go as though you're offering it to the earth for it to be composted, to fully just release and let go. And I'm going to invite you to keep doing these deep inhales, to keep letting go, to keep surrendering. And just when you think you've let go, how can you let go some more? So inhaling up. All the way up to the crown of your head, holding your breath, and then exhale. Exhaling your breath all the way out. I invite you now to see yourself sitting in the most sacred place to you. If it feels like it could be the right place to sit at this sacred well that has mountains all around, rolling green hills, and this sacred well where this healing water bubbles straight up from the core, the most truest essence of the earth. And it bubbles up through this well with this healing water. And it really is, it's like the womb. It's the most yin, protected little space. So if that feels right, and it has one of these ancient hawthorn trees, which are the tree of the fairies, where people bring things to ask for healing. And they bring things of beloveds to ask for healing. So if it feels right to be there, or perhaps you've got a special tree or a mountaintop or somewhere in your garden or sitting at your altar in your home, wherever that is, allow yourself to be there energetically. And allow your shoulders to relax. And keep taking those deep inhales and exhales and relaxing your jaw. And as we evoke sacred space, I'd like to call upon our ancestors, because part of what is going around this virus, this illness, this fear, is the disconnect from our ancestors, our lineage, the old ways of being. the busyness. So I'm going to invite you now instead to sit with your breath and call upon your ancestors, the ones that have walked the path before you, and allow them to teach you the ways, how to simplify, how to reset, and how to let go of the ego and instead closer to your own spirit. Your ancestors can show you at this time how to rise up, how to be in your own inner strength and resilience, which is needed at this time, and also that vulnerability to allow yourself to feel whatever needs to come up. And this is needed collectively, and the more that we do this, it ripples out. And as we know, wherever we put our attention is where the energy goes. So allow it to be on one of healing, and one of strength, and one of resilience, and one of oneness ultimately, and knowing that we're all in this together. That is what is, like, it's not a specific country or a specific family. This is globally. We are all in this together. So no matter what your religion is or where you are financially, we are all in the same boat. And it's really, really realizing that interconnectedness of us all. So I invite you to bring your hands to your heart center and to allow yourself to connect with your ancestors. And I'd also like to call in Danu, the goddess of the earth. Call in Boam, the goddess of the wells, of the waters. Calling upon our ancestors and calling upon whatever guides, whomever you choose to work with. Remembering your sacred practice. Calling upon that support. And asking yourself, what is it that I need to heal at this time? And the triggers that I'm feeling, yes, there is something real to the fear that you're feeling of what's happening in the world, but what is also under that? And in front of that, and behind that, and to the left and to the right. So see yourself in this sacred space. And I invite you to see whatever tree that could possibly be that you connect with, that is at this sacred space, or that you just have an affinity with, you have a deep connection with. And like the roots of that tree that go deep, deep down into the earth, allow your own roots to go deep, deep down into the earth. And allow yourself at this time and always to be deeply rooted, so you can be clear and make good, sound decisions. And as you think of that tree with the core, the trunk that is strong, allow that to be the same as your core, strong, resilient, and at the same time reaching up to the light, as is what we are being called to do right now, to rise up to the light from this grounded, rooted place. So ask yourself now, what is it that I'm being asked, in what ways to rise up? What is needed in order to heal fully, to ground and to know that deep sense of belonging? What are some simple ways of being that you have ignored and instead want to just be in the busyness? Ask yourself these things, and in this moment, make a commitment to yourself, to humanity, to the earth, Mother Earth, that is crying out for support right now, that you will. This week, I have found myself doing things that I didn't know I could do, whether it was sewing, baking certain things, just slowing down and really, really, really pausing, being really, really, really present. So I'm going to invite you together here collectively. Let's just take a deep inhale and exhale. And I invite yourself to let yourself fully, fully feel on everything that you need to. And then as you process and feel and heal, you can move through it and rise up. So wherever sacred space that you're in right now, whether it is the well or it's at the ocean or the sea or wherever it is, just put your hands down to touch the water or to touch the tree or to touch the earth or to touch your altar. And make whatever commitment you need to right now with this touch, with this healing touch. And then floating your hands to your heart center. Let's just take a moment, one moment in silence, so we can send this beautiful conscious energy that we've cultivated together here. So I'm just going to invite you to turn your hands so the palm of your hands is facing out. And let's just take a moment in silence as we send this peaceful, loving, healing energy out around the world. And then bring the palms of your hands together into Anjali Mudra, the mudra of the angels, to connect with your higher self, your guides. And then again, just bring the palms of your hands to your heart center to bring that energy inwards too. And then just to give thanks to whatever that is in this moment. What are you grateful for in this moment? And then whenever you're ready, just gently opening your eyes. And Laura, beautiful Laura, I'm going to pass the goddess baton over to you.
Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful goddess. And thank you for bringing us to that well, because I know that well. I've been there. And it was one of the most magical moments of our retreat over in Ireland together. It was a very special place. I know there's some women on this call who were there as well. And I just want to talk a little bit about here in this next piece about, you know, last circle that we did was really about how to take care of yourself in this time, and really about how to just find like your basic grounding when our nervous systems get kind of fritzed out from the news or from, you know, the stories or the fear. And understandably so, right? When the world is feeling in crisis, we are, like I talked about last time, we're collective. There's a union in our consciousness. There's a union in our energies, and we can feel when the world is in fear. I know my children feel what's going on. They can feel it because they're children, and they're tapped into this collective energy. And so taking care of ourselves in that time, and also acting in wisdom and in intelligence, right? Like taking care of ourselves and taking the right action for you is what's so important. And today we're gonna shift a little bit into how do I have all of that as my foundation, but also still show up and serve. If that's something that you're wondering, like, what can I do right now? What can I do to help be an inspiration or to support others when I'm stuck in my house? Right? You might feel like there's not a lot you can do, or just wondering like, how do I really show up and serve when I really just have to take care of myself, right? I got to take care of my own health and homeschool my kids or whatever it is, right? There's so much right now that we're thinking about and wondering about, and our own security and safety and financial stability, all of those things are alive. And so what I'm going to talk about today is also how do we have all of that happening and also show up and serve? How do we do that? And is it possible? And I believe yes, and I'll tell you why. One thing I've learned from working with women for all the years that I have, for so many years, is that when women go through something that they feel helps to heal them or inspire them or give them hope, it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction that the first thing women want to do is then share that with someone else and help other people. And I will say this is sometimes even to a fault. It's one of our greatest gifts that when we find something that helps us, this is why mom groups are so freaking successful. This is why women's groups are so successful. It's because we just want to share, and we want to share what works for us. Because it's like when you feel inspired and like something serves you, you can't help but want to give that to another person. Now, I know this isn't true for every single woman in the world, but it's just what I have seen. It's a beautiful gift of feminine leadership that women really want to turn around and give back what gives them hope. And so some of the greatest things you can do and for yourself right now is to look for stories of hope, for one thing. Look to stories and inspiration from our ancestors and from those who have come before us that have gone through challenging times in the world. Right? I think about anyone who lived through war times, or Martin Luther King Jr. or Viktor Frankl. You know, Viktor Frankl lived through the Holocaust and had his entire family was killed in the Holocaust. And he became this incredibly inspiring psychiatrist and teacher and leader out of that situation, which it's like, it seems unthinkable. And I don't want to compare what we're going through to the Holocaust, right? That's not a comparison, but just to say that when we're in times of challenge, or when it feels like we're in times of darkness and uncertainty, it can be so powerful to look to stories of hope, to look to people who walked through dark times and came out of it with even more inspiration, even more service, even more love than maybe would have been possible had they not gone through it, right? So how can this experience be actually encouraging more love and more connection? Because that's the one thing that can't be taken away from us. My daughter asked me last night as she was going to bed, we read this really beautiful story. You might have heard of it, The Little Soul in the Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. It's a beautiful story. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's good for adults or children. And I don't know why she asked this question, but at the end she said, "Mom, does our love die when we die?" She says, "Does your love die when you die?" And I just, I said, "Honey, that's the one thing that we know never dies, right? That is the one thing that cannot be stopped by death itself. It cannot be stopped by hardship, by challenges. And so what's the way that your love can still be expressed right now, right? It cannot be stopped. It cannot be ever, it never dies." And so that question just reminded me of even what can we do in these times? We can lead with our hearts. We can lead with the love that we have inside. We can show that, we can express that. We can send videos and texts to our loved ones. We can write letters for the elderly who may be very scared right now. We can create videos or letters for perhaps elderly people in our life who may not be, they may be scared in this time, right? Someone's asking what was the name of that book again, called The Little Soul in the Sun. And when I send out a follow-up email, I'll be sure to put that in the notes for this call. So anything I talk about here, I'll follow up with some notes on in the email. And so what I believe is, as leaders, we have to stay inspired. We have to stay connected to our own love and stay connected to the angels, the leaders, the ancestors who inspire you and who give you hope. And I love that that's what Amanda started with, because our ancestors, they are always with us. They are always with us to give us guidance, to help us have hope in uncertain times. And when humanity's going crazy, like they've walked through it. They've walked through it at some level in their own way, and they have a different perspective that they can offer us, right? They can offer us, and if we take the time to connect to our ancestors, to our guides, to our angels, it's like they are just waiting as a circle all around us. And another thing I'm going to offer all of you, and many of you already have this, but I have a wise woman meditation that helps connect you to your own higher self and to your own inner wise woman in times of uncertainty. And it also connects you to your circle, your team of light, to your ancestors. And so I'm going to be sending a link to that meditation in this follow-up email, so you can all practice that during this time. And so stay inspired, stay connected, do whatever it takes to have hope. And one of the suggestions that I have and that we're doing in our home, and I think someone might have even suggested this in the previous webinar on one of my previous circles, is to have an altar of hope in your home. An altar of hope and an altar of prayer for humanity. And you can put little quotes. You know, I just mentioned Viktor Frankl. There's so many beautiful quotes by Viktor Frankl and from his book, Man's Search for Meaning. Quotes from people who inspire you, who've walked through challenging times, pictures of ancestors that you love and that you draw inspiration and hope from. Anything at all. Stuff from outside, if you're able to get outside. That's another thing I want to speak to, like that meditation of grounding, connecting to a tree. Some of us, that's all we have right now for nature. For some people who are really stuck in quarantine, we have a woman who's in one of my circles who lives in India, and she is stuck in her apartment and can only leave for like a couple of hours every once in a while to get groceries, and the grocery store is only open for a couple of hours every once in a while, and that's it. So those of you who do have the opportunity to get out in fresh air right now and to be in nature, I know San Diego, we closed our beaches, they closed our trails, they closed a lot of nature, and it's, you know, it's what they feel needs to happen right now in order to contain the virus from spreading. And so it is what it is. And a lot of people are now not having that source of nature that used to be a deep resourcing for us. And so we have to go into our own visualizations and into our own minds. And if you have meditations and visualizations that take you to those places in nature that inspire you, then this is the time. Because again, your mind, your thoughts, and your love, this cannot be taken from you. It cannot be taken from you. You have the power to do with that what you choose. And when we have these things in our life that give us hope and inspiration, I believe, because I believe in the power of women and the power of women's love, that we then share that with others. Keep yourself in hope and inspiration, and you become that for others. You share that with others. You send those happy texts and those sweet messages and those words of encouragement to those in your life who need it. And you know what? You're going to have those days and those moments when it needs to come back to you. And that's okay. Like, you are not Superwoman. Give yourself so much patience, compassion, and really honoring right now that I know that just being in my shoes, homeschooling and still leading my business and running my family. And, you know, we pretty much have like a damn farm here with all of our gardens and animals, right? But it's, it's a lot. And it's like Amanda said, I'm finding myself doing things that I didn't even know was possible, right? Like juggling 10 things at once. And I'm also holding that, like, what I have to do right now for the people that are sick, for people that are in hospitals and ICUs, it's nothing, you know, like it's nothing. And I'm having compassion for myself and really being easy on myself that it is going to be imperfect. I'm not going to get to all of my daughter's lessons. There's like 60 in a day, right? Like her school gave us this whole guidance on how to do homeschooling. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to get to all of it in a day. I'm going to do my best. So having this like patience and compassion for ourselves, and also recognizing that just our human family, like there are a lot of people that are suffering. There's a lot of people that are suffering. So how can we have compassion for ourselves, find the hope and inspiration in our own life, and then be able to share some of that energy to the places in the world that really need it, right? Like our doctors in New York City, the patients that are, the elderly that are really suffering with this virus, right? Whether you believe that this virus is totally hype and too much fear, or whether you believe it's the worst, it's apocalypse. Like wherever you are on that spectrum, there are people suffering, and that's the truth. There are people suffering. There are doctors who are very scared for their safety, for their ability to perform and actually show up and serve their communities. So how can we show up and serve in our minds and our thoughts and in our love for those people right now? If we're not able to do it physically and be on the front lines, because not everybody can, not everybody should, quite frankly, but we have our hearts and we have our minds. And I want to read something to you before I pass this back over to Amanda here. I want to read something because I started to read this. I read a little piece of it last time. I read it often because I think it's one of the greatest pieces for showing up in leadership in dark times. And it's by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. We were made for these times. I will send you a link again to be able to read the full piece on this. But what I love that she says is what is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding to, adding more, and continuing. We know it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Soul on deck shines like gold in dark times. The light of the soul throws sparks, can send up flares, builds signal fires, causes proper matters to catch fire. To display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy towards others, both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. So stand up and show your soul, sisters, whatever that looks like for you. It's different for all of us. Stand up and show your soul. There are so many ways to keep yourself inspired. I know one thing that it's such a cliche, so common self-care practice, but to do a gratitude every day, to just look at your life and say, things might be crazy, I might be stuck in these four walls, or whatever it might be for you. And what are 3 things that you are grateful for? Do you have food on your plate today, right? Do you have 4 walls that you're safe within? You know, I refer to our sister again, who's in India, telling us the stories of all of the people out on the streets who don't have homes to go to right now. And they're being forced by the military and by police to get off the streets, but they have nowhere to go, right? Nowhere to go. I mean, her sharing what it's like right now in her community brought all of us in that circle to such a place of, wow, like we might be going through challenging times, but I cannot imagine what it would be like to not have actually a place to even go home to and quarantine in, right? And to be in such danger, right? Danger and vulnerability of being a homeless person on the street, and what that means if you get sick, right? And so, you know, I don't tell you these things to like bum you out and make you think about, oh, well, it could be much worse. And the truth is, it could be, and we could be in situations that are so challenging that it's hard to find hope. And so how can you find the gratitude and the hope and the joy in your situation? The last call that we did was all about honoring your feelings and what you're going through. And we're not bypassing that. This is not spiritually bypassing the feelings that you have, the fear, the uncertainty, the scarcity, whatever it might be. Honor that, acknowledge that, give yourself the tools, which we talked about in our last circle, to move through that. So you can move to a place of authentic tending to and serving, if that's what you choose, right? So, you know, just to summarize, find an altar of hope, put inspiration on that altar that lights you up and makes you feel like you're being supported, okay? And making a list of things that you feel grateful for in your life during quarantine. Make a quarantine gratitude journal. Make it a specific journal for this time. You'll look back on it for years and it'll really mean something. And to find the hope and inspiration, because when you do what I know and what I trust from all of you, even though I don't know all of you personally, I know a lot of you, and I know the energy of those who have come to this call is that you care deeply about how you show up in the world, and you care deeply about being a source of love and light for yourself and your immediate circle, but also for those in the world. I know that about you. And so you find the hope and inspiration in your own life so that you can share that in the way that's authentic for you with others. And only love is real. That's it. That's the only thing that this virus cannot take away, that nothing can take away, is the power of our hearts. So how can that show up in the world for you digitally, through the airwaves, through the internet, through phone calls, texts? And just trust it. Trust your heart to lead in the way that you feel called to in your community. Only love is real. Okay, and as we can answer dear Luna, our beautiful Luna, who asks, what happens to love when you die? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. It just probably gets even stronger, right? That's when it becomes pure love, when we become pure love. So I hope that gives you a few practical ideas for how we can show up and serve. And know that I'll send this all out in the email as well to follow up. I love you, sisters. And
Mm.
Amanda, I'm going to pass it over to you, my
Oh,
dear goddess.
oh, thank you. That was just so beautiful. I was just, I was right with you every step of the way, sister. Oh, beloveds, it's such an honor to be together here, and I feel like compassion, is what you can just feel it on the rise. Like you can feel like, and love is all there is, and compassion is going to knock fear on its butt. You know what I mean? So like feel what you got to feel, and I highly recommend, if you didn't watch our first gathering last week, take that, because we talked about a lot of really important self-care practices, because we know, no pun intended, but we have to fill up our own well first, right? We have to really come from that place of being filled up. So, you know, do what you can within your space. Like if you are blessed enough to have a garden, or to still even be able to get to a garden close by. But if not, there's a reason why even in feng shui we suggest bring your crystals in, have plants inside your home, or just be the tree, be the plant, be the water. We are the water. Um, so, beloveds, thank you for being here and sharing your hearts. And um, the more that we can step into that, because it's the energy that we're sending out there, and our intention of, and it's just like, what am I learning from this? And of course, then when the lesson is learned, things start to shift, right? And the acceptance part of it. So let yourself feel, and to the fullest, everything that needs to be felt and everything that needs to be healed. And I love that Laura was saying, just like, where can we be the love right now, and where can we show up? And I love that, even as simple as a text, um, and and just even sitting in prayer and sending light out to all the people and places and everybody that that needs it right now. So I think maybe we should just close with that. We'll just take a moment to, again, just harness this energy of love is all there is. So let's just bring our hands up again, and let's just send this out globally, up into the cosmos, out into the universe, deep down into our earth. Love, unconditional, infinite, pure love. And then just bring our hands back into Anjali Mudra, because all of our angels are with us, always with us. And then just back to our hearts. Thank you, beloveds, for being with us. Um, oh, so beautiful to see, and just sending so much love. And Laura and I will, and the one thing that we mentioned that we didn't get to, of course, but our Priestess Remembrance Retreat that we did last August, which we were planning to do this August, has been postponed. I prefer that word, postponed, till
Yeah.
August of 2021, which we didn't get to mention last time, and we wanted to share that. So
Mhm.
we will have more circles, and we'll reach out when that will be.
And one thing I like to do, just really quick in closing, just so that there's so many messages coming through, but if ladies in this vortex, as we're closing and sending this prayer of love, if there's any words of contribution that you want to put into the chat box, like words of intention you want to send out for prayer right now, we've just created a really powerful vortex with all of us here together with our thoughts and our hearts and our minds. And so that can be perhaps our final, just if anyone want to put some words into the chat box, and I'm happy to read them. Abundance, light, love. Amanda, feel free to chime in anytime you want to. Peace,
Brazilian, Sally, beautiful.
trust, healing
Peace,
light,
peace, protection, and healing. Grace, absolutely, Kristen. Healing light, Siobhan. Mm,
regenerative living, love, light.
hmm Guidance. And if you can get your hands out into the soil, even with
Mhm.
some herbs, it's just
Look at
She's
all
looking
these,
for the love. Oh,
look
so
at all these
cute.
beautiful visionary women here sharing their healing hope for the elderly, inner truth, peace
Mm,
for those dying alone,
mm, absolutely.
grounding.
Yeah. Protection for healthcare workers and the people in the stores and that are showing up in order to keep us all functioning in the way that we need, getting us
Yes.
the support that we need, just sending so much love and protection and strength to them. Hope,
Mhm.
oh, strength, Diane, that's gorgeous. We have enough and we are enough. Yes, Siobhan,
Joy
absolutely.
and laughter.
Mm-hmm.
Laughter, yes. Make yourself laugh as much as you can during this time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not an accident that we are here now. Do your work and love and light. Yes. Surrender to the
Beautiful.
light and love. Vigilance, ancient healing, activation of divine harmony, support, and strength.
And sit at your altars and connect with your ancestors. You will just feel them come in like all behind you, around you, and just ask them. They will guide you too, and they want that. Like we will be guided as long as we take that time to connect and listen. Most importantly,
Mm-hmm.
why
It's
is
their
it that
full-time job. It's their
yeah.
full. That's what they're here to
Oh,
do.
my guidance to those on the front lines, absolutely. Yes, Siobhan, we are all amazing.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yes, yes. The energy is calm here this week, Noreen said.
mm. Thank you,
Yeah.
Noreen. Oh,
All right, beautiful sisters.
sending
Thank you
so
so
much
much.
love, so much love. Thank you
All
for
right, we'll
being
see you next time.
okay. Bye.
Bye.